Dame Maggie Smith was more than an actress. She was a force of nature whose talent, resilience, and wit left an indelible mark on theater, film, and television. Born on 28 December 1934 in Ilford, United Kingdom, she rose from modest beginnings to become one of the most decorated and admired performers of her generation. Over a career spanning 7 decades, she dazzled audiences with unforgettable roles in the prime of Miss Jean Brodie, Harry Potter, and Downton Abbey. Beyond the spotlight, she endured significant health challenges, facing them with courage and determination that defined her remarkable journey. Early life and humble beginnings. Maggie Smith grew up in Oxford, where her family had moved when she was young. She was the youngest of 3 children and showed early signs of a spirited personality. Acting was not the obvious path in her youth, but by the time she reached her teenage years, her sharp wit and natural flair for performance hinted at a remarkable future. She trained at the Oxford Playhouse School, which gave her a strong foundation in stagecraft. Unlike many who dreamed only of Hollywood, Smith's first love was theater. She once said that the stage was where she truly learned her craft, testing herself against Shakespearean verse, comedic timing, and the intensity of live audiences. Rise to stardom. Theater and film. Smith's first major breakthrough came in the 1950s and 60s as part of the National Theatre and later the Royal Shakespeare Company. Her early performances revealed her uncanny ability to switch effortlessly between tragedy and comedy. By the mid-1960s, she had also made a name for herself on screen. Her career soared with The Prime of Miss Jean Brodie, 1969, a role that won her the Academy Award for Best Actress. As Jean Brodie, she embodied the eccentric, passionate teacher with an unforgettable mix of charm and arrogance. The performance cemented her as one of Britain's finest talents. Over the years, Smith would go on to win 2 Academy Awards, 5 BAFTAs, 3 Golden Globes, 4 Primetime Emmys, and a Tony Award, an almost unmatched record that highlighted her versatility across every medium. But awards alone never defined her. What made Maggie Smith beloved was her ability to breathe authenticity into every role, whether as a stern duchess, a witty matriarch, or a frail yet strong-willed grandmother. She made characters unforgettable. Personal life and family. Maggie Smith married actor Robert Stevens in 1967, and together they had 2 sons, Toby Stevens and Chris Larkin, both of whom would later follow in their parents' footsteps and become respected actors. Their marriage ended in 1975, and the same year she married playwright Beverly Cross, with whom she shared a deeply supportive relationship until his death in 1998. Family remained a constant anchor in her life. She often credited her children and grandchildren, Daisy Grace, Eli Alastair, Tallulah, and Nathaniel Stevens, for keeping her grounded amid the chaos of fame and the difficulties of illness. The woman behind the legend. Away from the spotlight, Maggie Smith was not just the commanding presence audiences adored, she was also a mother, grandmother, and friend with a wry sense of humor and a quiet love for ordinary moments. She enjoyed family gatherings, supported her sons Toby and Chris in their own acting journeys, and found joy in the company of her grandchildren. Those who knew her closely often described her as warm, witty, and surprisingly modest. This private side of Smith showed that beneath the layers of fame and recognition lived a woman of deep humanity and grace. Health challenges, a life tested. Though she enjoyed an illustrious career, Maggie Smith's life was frequently tested by serious health issues. Graves' disease. In the 1980s, Smith was diagnosed with Graves' disease, an autoimmune disorder that affects the thyroid. This condition caused complications with her eyes, including bulging and vision problems. She underwent radioiodine treatment and corrective eye surgeries, a difficult period that left her physically and emotionally drained. Yet, she returned to the stage, refusing to let the illness end her career. Glaucoma. Later in life, Smith also battled glaucoma in one eye, which limited her vision. For someone whose career relied on expression and movement, this was another cruel blow. She admitted in interviews that such health struggles sometimes led her into a fog of despair. Breast cancer, perhaps her most challenging battle, came in 2007, when she was diagnosed with breast cancer while filming Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. At the time, she was undergoing chemotherapy, yet still reported to set, determined to continue playing the beloved Professor Minerva McGonagall. She later confessed that the experience was grueling, but her resilience and sense of duty to her craft carried her through. After successful treatment, she went into remission, a triumph that inspired countless fans. Hip surgery adding to her struggles, she also underwent hip replacement surgery, a reminder of the physical toll aging can take. Despite these cumulative battles, Maggie Smith refused to surrender to self-pity. She often spoke candidly about the frustrations of illness, but she also continued to perform with the same brilliance that had defined her since youth. Career renaissance, Harry Potter and Downton Abbey. While Maggie Smith had already achieved legendary status, her later career brought her a new wave of global fame. In the 2000s, she became Professor McGonagall in the Harry Potter film series, a stern but deeply caring teacher who became a fan favorite across generations. For millions of younger viewers, this was their introduction to Maggie Smith, and she embraced the role with her trademark mixture of warmth and steel. Then came Downton Abbey, 2010 to 2015, where she portrayed the formidable Violet Crawley, the Dowager Countess of Grantham. Her razor-sharp one-liners, arched eyebrows, and impeccable comedic timing turned her into a cultural phenomenon once again. It was rare for an actress in her late 70s and 80s to dominate pop culture, yet Maggie Smith did it effortlessly. Both roles reinforced her reputation as someone who could deliver authority, humor, and humanity in equal measure. They also ensured that her legacy extended to audiences who may not have known her earlier stage or film work. Courage behind the curtain. While audiences saw Dame Maggie Smith's brilliance on stage and screen, her greatest performances often happened away from the spotlight. Battling illnesses like Graves' disease, breast cancer, and glaucoma, she continued working when many would have stepped away. Even during chemotherapy, she reported to the Harry Potter set, determined not to disappoint fans or colleagues. This quiet resilience revealed a side of Smith rarely seen by the public, a woman of immense courage who faced pain with dignity. It is this strength, combined with her artistry, that makes her legacy both inspiring and deeply human. The human side, vulnerability, and wit. Maggie Smith was not just an actress. She was a person of depth, humility, and wit. Despite her fame, she often expressed self-doubt and admitted to being shy. She once quipped that she had no idea why people wanted to watch her. This humility made her all the more beloved. Her humor was legendary, dry, sharp, and unapologetically British. Whether in interviews or on screen, she had a knack for making people laugh with a single word or expression. Yet beneath the wit was a woman who endured her share of sadness. She lost her husband Beverly Cross in 1998, and she often confessed to periods of loneliness. What stood out, however, was her refusal to let vulnerability define her. Instead, she transformed her pain into performances that resonated with authenticity. Beyond the awards, though Dame Maggie Smith collected nearly every major accolade an actor could dream of, Oscars, BAFTAs, Emmys, and even a Tony, her true legacy was never just about trophies. What mattered most was the authenticity she brought to each performance and the emotional connection she forged with audiences. She often downplayed her achievements, admitting she never felt entirely comfortable with fame. Yet, her work spoke volumes. For her, awards were milestones, not destinations. The real reward was the joy of storytelling and the chance to leave audiences moved, entertained, and inspired. Legacy Dame Maggie Smith leaves behind not just a body of work, but a blueprint for resilience. She showed the world that illness does not define a person, that age does not limit creativity, and that vulnerability can coexist with strength. Her career was a tapestry of unforgettable roles. Miss Jean Brodie, Professor McGonagall, the Dowager Countess, and countless Shakespearean heroines. But beyond the characters, she embodied endurance. Her passing at 89 years old closed a remarkable chapter in acting history, but her influence will live on through her films, stage performances, and the actors she inspired, including her own children. Courage behind the curtain. When audiences think of Dame Maggie Smith, they often remember the grandeur of her performances. But behind the stage lights and camera lenses was a woman fighting silent battles with extraordinary courage. Her health challenges, Graves' disease, glaucoma, breast cancer, and even hip surgery, were struggles she endured quietly, rarely allowing them to overshadow her work. At times, the weight of illness left her feeling lost in what she once described as a fog of despair. Yet, she never gave in. In the 2000s, during her battle with breast cancer, Smith chose to continue filming Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. Chemotherapy weakened her body, but not her spirit. She appeared on set, determined not to let her illness prevent her from honoring her commitment to the character of Professor McGonagall. This decision reflected not just professionalism, but an unshakable resilience that inspired colleagues and fans alike. Her story reminds us that courage is not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes it is the quiet persistence to keep going when the body resists, or the willpower to walk onto a set when pain whispers to stay home. Maggie Smith's courage behind the curtain was as impactful as her iconic roles on screen and stage. By refusing to let adversity dim her light, she taught the world that true strength lies not in perfection, but in perseverance. Her bravery was not only part of her life, it became a cornerstone of her legacy. A timeless inspiration, Maggie Smith's influence extended far beyond her celebrated performances. She was not only an actress admired for her talent, but also a source of inspiration for people navigating their own struggles. For aspiring actors, she was proof that dedication to craft could lead to greatness, even without the glamour of Hollywood beginnings. For audiences, she was living testimony that resilience and artistry can coexist, even in the face of serious health challenges. Her journey was inspirational precisely because it was not easy. Smith openly admitted to self-doubt and vulnerability, qualities that made her relatable. She showed the world that even icons have moments of uncertainty, yet those moments do not define us. Instead, what defines us is the determination to keep moving forward. Her ability to transform hardship into art reminded people that struggles can fuel creativity rather than destroy it. Generations of fans discovered her at different points in her career, whether in the prime of Miss Jean Brodie, Harry Potter, or Downton Abbey. Each role carried an authenticity that touched lives. For older audiences, she symbolized consistency and excellence. For younger viewers, she was the mentor-like figure whose wisdom felt personal. Her inspiration was also timeless because she never let age limit her relevance. At an age when many actors retreat from the spotlight, she was still redefining herself and capturing hearts. Maggie Smith proved that creativity has no expiry date, and her life continues to inspire anyone chasing dreams, battling challenges, or striving to leave a mark. Beyond the awards often define a performer's success. But Dame Maggie Smith's story proved that true artistry goes far deeper. Yes, she collected nearly every prestigious honor available. 2 Oscars, 5 BAFTAs, 4 Emmys, 3 Golden Globes, and a Tony Award. Yet, she often joked that she felt uncomfortable with fame and never quite understood why people adored her performances so much. Her humility was refreshing in an industry often dazzled by accolades. For Maggie, the work itself was always the most important part. She valued the script, the collaboration, and the chance to inhabit different lives. Every role, whether large or small, mattered. Even in projects she considered less glamorous, she gave her all, proving that greatness lies in commitment rather than the shine of trophies. Her career also revealed that awards cannot capture the full impact of an artist. The moments when she made audiences laugh uncontrollably in Downton Abbey, or when she moved generations of children with her role in Harry Potter, were far more powerful than any statue could convey. These were moments of connection, emotional exchanges that linger in people's hearts long after the credits roll. By looking beyond the awards, Maggie Smith left us with an important lesson. Recognition is fleeting, but authenticity endures. Her legacy is not a shelf of golden trophies, but a lifetime of work that continues to inspire, entertain, and move people around the world. That is a far greater prize than any award could ever represent. The woman behind the legend. Though the world knew her as a commanding actress, Maggie Smith's private life revealed a woman defined by warmth, humility, and a deep devotion to family. Away from the limelight, she was a mother to 2 sons, Toby Stephens and Chris Larkin, both of whom became respected actors. Her role as a grandmother brought her immense joy, and she loved spending time with her grandchildren, Daisy, Eli, Tallulah, and Nathaniel. Friends often described her as witty and modest, traits that made her approachable despite her legendary status. She could be shy in public, but in private gatherings, her humor lit up the room. Her quick remarks and playful spirit reminded those close to her that beneath the accolades was someone grounded, relatable, and very human. Her marriages also shaped her journey. With actor Robert Stephens, she shared the early years of her career and motherhood, though their union ended in divorce. Later, with playwright Beverly Cross, she found a supportive partner who stood by her through highs and lows until his passing in 1998. What makes Maggie Smith remarkable is that she never let her fame eclipse her humanity. While fans adored her as Jean Brodie or Professor McGonagall, her family knew her as Mum and Gran. The woman behind the legend was not only an actress who inspired millions, but also someone who cherished ordinary joys, laughter at a dinner table, conversations with loved ones, and moments of quiet reflection. That balance made her life both extraordinary and deeply authentic. Defining generations, few performers managed to remain relevant across multiple eras. Yet Maggie Smith accomplished exactly that. For those who grew up in the 1960s, she was the bold and brilliant Jean Brodie, a role that earned her international acclaim. Theater lovers admired her Shakespearean performances, where she redefined classics with fresh energy. By the 1990s, she was dazzling audiences in films like The Secret Garden and Tea with Mussolini. Performances. Each era of her career brought her into the hearts of new admirers, proving that true talent knows no age or boundary. She wasn't just part of cinematic and television history. She shaped it, ensuring her influence would endure for generations still to come. Grace in adversity life tested Maggie Smith in ways that would have broken many, but she carried her struggles with grace. Her diagnosis of Graves' disease in the 1980s brought difficult treatments and eye surgeries. Later, glaucoma threatened her vision, a devastating blow for someone whose craft depended on expression and detail. The most painful challenge came with breast cancer in 2007, when chemotherapy left her weakened during filming. Yet, even in those moments, she held herself with dignity. She never sought pity, nor did she a legacy of laughter and wisdom. One of Maggie Smith's greatest gifts was her ability to deliver both humor and profound wisdom in equal measure. Her comedic timing was legendary. With just a glance, a pause, or a single dry remark, she could have audiences roaring with laughter. Nowhere was this more evident than in her role as the Dowager Countess in Downton Abbey, where nearly every line she delivered became a classic. An artist for the ages, Maggie Smith's career is the very definition of timeless. From her early days on the Shakespearean stage to her global recognition in films and television, she remained relevant across more than 7 decades, a feat few actors achieve. Her artistry was not bound by age, trend, or medium. She adapted, evolved, and continued to surprise audiences even in her late 80s. A timeless inspiration. Maggie Smith's influence reached far beyond her roles. Generations of aspiring actors looked up to her discipline, honesty, and ability to bring truth to every character she portrayed. Young performers, whether in theater schools or film sets, often spoke of how her presence alone was a masterclass in acting. Audiences, too, found inspiration in her story, an artist who never allowed age or illness to define her worth. She proved that creativity has no expiry date, and that resilience can turn personal struggles into triumphs that uplift others. Her life remains a reminder that true artistry is eternal. Defining generations, few actors have managed to captivate audiences across so many different eras as Dame Maggie Smith. For older generations, she was the sharp and complex Jean Brodie. For theater lovers, she was a Shakespearean marvel. For millions of younger fans, she was the wise Professor McGonagall in Harry Potter. And for television audiences, she became the unforgettable Dowager Countess in Downton Abbey. Each role introduced her to a new wave of admirers, proving that her talent transcended time, age, and genre. In this way, Maggie Smith didn't just perform, she defined generations. Conclusion: Dame Maggie Smith's story is one of brilliance intertwined with struggle, of triumph overshadowing despair, and of a woman who gave everything to her craft despite the obstacles life threw at her. She was more than an actress. She was a survivor, a teacher, and an inspiration. From Ilford to the world stage, from battling illness to bringing joy to millions, Maggie Smith's journey reflects the resilience of the human spirit. She once said she never thought of herself as glamorous or extraordinary, but to the countless people who admired her work, she was both. As audiences revisit her films and performances in the years to come, one thing is certain: Dame Maggie Smith will never be forgotten. Her legacy is not just in the awards she won, but in the laughter, tears, and inspiration she brought to the world.